Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Boys, Season 1, Episode 1. It's called The Name of the Game. So, full spoilers. Well, actually, no, we'll start spoiler free. It's Episode 1. We'll start spoiler free, and we'll give you warning in the middle before we go into spoilers. So, this is Amazon Prime's new original show, 8 episodes, Season 1, although it's already been renewed for Season 2, so they're feeling pretty confident about it. Launched today. Well, at the time of recording, you could be listening to this months from now, but when this goes up, it was today. Yeah. So this is based on a comic book by Garth Ennis and Eric Kripke. Well, he's the comic book. Eric Kripke is developing it for TV.
He's the showrunner.
Yeah. And it's about a world in which superheroes are dickbags, and a group form to take on the superheroes. I would actually, bizarrely, I would compare it, if nothing else, to Mystery Men, and that you've got these really corporate superheroes. They don't quite have like logos and stuff and like endorsements on their outfits, but it was making me think of Mystery Men a little bit.
Yeah, because they're all kind of employed by a company.
Yeah, Vogue or something like that. Vought, yeah. Yeah, they're employed by Vought. And they're very clear sort of Justice League knockoffs. It's definitely DC's heroes they're kind of aping on a little bit. There's a clear Superman, there's a clear Wonder Woman, there's a clear Aquaman, and so on. And you kind of get a sense of who each one's supposed to be. To the point where Aquaman, specifically the Deep, his costume is like pretty close. Like,
it's just a slightly different color scheme.
Yeah, whereas the others are all like, okay, they don't necessarily look exactly like the hero, but they're still clearly supposed to be that hero. His outfit is just, oh no, if you put an A on that, I would buy this just maybe like the movie changed the colors.
It's the stealth suit.
Sure, yes.
That's what it is. It's the stealth suit colors instead of the orange.
Yeah, so the story of at least the first episode is about the collateral damage that the heroes cause, and kind of or one of our main characters, Huey, him kind of being recruited by Karl Urban's character, who's in this, so always nice to see. His character, Billy Butcher, seems to be the one sort of spearheading this like anti-hero movement, and he kind of tries to recruit Huey. So that'd be my spoiler-free kind of just summary of the episode. But we'll save any more plot for later. I don't know about you. I was kind of in a weird place before this. Like, the last trailer I thought was kind of promising.
I have only seen the one trailer, the first one that we looked at. I never watched any others.
No, the second one was a better trailer. Had more of an upbeat kind of attitude to it. But I don't know, for some reason, maybe it was because Garth Ennis's Preacher was a mediocre TV show, or maybe it was, I don't know, just the trying to be edgy kind of vibe from it. I was worried that it was going to feel, I don't know, try hard. Like, I don't know, I was getting those kind of
No, I can
vibes.
see that. Like because the trailer's like, hey, look at all this violence, right?
Yeah. And not that I don't enjoy a bit of violence, I do. Although, I will say, the one thing pre-launch of the show, right, we'll obviously say if we liked it or not in a minute, that I really liked, apparently in an interview in the last couple of days, obviously promoting the launch of it, the writers apparently said, so we've not seen any of this in the first episode yet, but they do mention that the heroes do have movies like based on them in the world. And apparently the pretentious movies that I assume we're going to see clips of at some point are based on Zack Snyder movies.
Oh, that's good. Because it was definitely mentioned that they had movies in this episode.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, but we haven't, like I say, we haven't seen them, so now I'm excited.
Yeah, so that sense of humor just from that one claim was a little bit promising.
You kind of go, oh, I like you now.
Yeah, okay, I like what you're cooking. So, did you like episode 1?
Yeah, I did. It was a blast.
I was surprised. I was surprised with how much I liked this. I was not expecting something that has some really dark beats at points. Is also really funny at other points. But it seems to kind of all click together in a way that makes me want to watch more. Because, like, there was always a possibility, okay, the violence might be really cool, but when it tries to do something a bit darker, it might feel just kind of, tasteless. Or, I think the example, actually, the other thing that the trailer might have made me worry about was Kick-Ass 2. I don't know if you remember Kick-Ass 2.
Where it's like, hey, someone going, hey, we can do this ultra-violence edgy, realistic shtick, and when they can't, they really can't.
No, because that movie's terrible. First Kick-Ass, fantastic movie. Second Kick-Ass, absolute garbage. And I was worried that this was going to veer into that as well, but actually I was kind of into it. I think it balanced all of its different things fairly well. It did a really good job of just focusing on introducing two real characters this episode, which is Huey and Stargirl? Not Stargirl.
Starlight.
Starlight, yeah. Stargirl's an actual DC hero.
I think her name was Annie.
Starlight will do for now.
Yeah.
Until I hear otherwise. So it introduces those two characters who are both from different sides of the story, although they do interact a little bit, and give us two different perspectives on things.
I think one of my bigger concerns with the episode that might travel for the show is there's a strong reliance on source music. Now, I happen to like all the instances of it in this episode, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of it that I just worried it might become a crutch as it goes on.
I would expect a lot more of it just based on the second trailer. Kind of relied heavily on a Spice Girls track, and I feel like it's probably going to show up during the show. I'm okay if that's the style it's going for, because it's very clearly established in this first episode that this is just going to be what the way it works is. This is the choice they've made creatively. They wanted to have this, because I think they're going for this kind of like, we're doing this satire of the corporate world mixed with, you know, the satirization of superheroes, right? So the idea of using a lot of like paid for tracks is kind of working with those themes.
Sure.
What I will say about the soundtrack in the first episode though is that I feel like they just watched I, Tonya, because there was two different tracks in this that were both in the I, Tonya soundtrack.
The Passenger was in I, Tonya.
It was. Also, so was Barracuda.
Was Barracuda in I, Tonya?
It was. Because Barracuda started playing like during a training thing early on this
training montage,
and it made me think of I, Tonya, because I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure she was training in that movie when this was playing. So when Passenger started playing towards the end of the episode, I was like, wait a minute.
To be fair, both are excellent songs.
I'm not disputing anything. I'm just saying it's a bit of a coincidence that both tracks are in the same episode.
Sure. Can't argue with that.
So no, cast are pretty solid as well. I have one complaint about the cast.
Oh,
and I can't believe I'm saying this, but if you don't want him doing his own accent, don't cast Simon Pegg.
I actually know why they cast Simon Pegg. There's a reason for this. In the comic, his son Huey is modeled after Simon Pegg. So obviously he was too old to play, himself. So they were, all right, well, we're going to put you as the dad, as like a reference to that.
I don't care. His American accent is rough.
It's not the best. I'll give you that.
It's rough. Like every sentence, I was just like, it was distracting me. I was focused on his accent rather than the scene. He's not in a lot of it, admittedly, so it's not a big deal. But like,
yeah.
That was my one take.
I think that's the only reason he was cast there, is just to have a little bit as hey, look, we know he was.
Just let him have his accent. His mum was American. Fine, dad's English. Whatever, just go with it. Sure. But no, we have Simon Pegg doing an accent. It's not great.
Because we've already got someone else being English, so we can't have two English people.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Carl Urban is not English though. He's
New Zealander.
He's New Zealander, yeah. So he's doing an alright accent, I think.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Might not. It's kind of like it's not like necessarily a realistic accent in the strictest sense, but it kind of works in a TV show.
No, it almost does. At points it feels like he's almost putting it on, but he's playing this kind of borderline flamboyant character in that role. That it kind of feels like it works.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I was going to say it reminds me a little bit of Spike from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where the accent isn't necessarily the exact accent I would actually expect to hear from anyone in real life, but it works as kind of a like animated version for the context of the character. Because he's definitely playing it up. He's dropping C-bombs left and right, like everywhere in this episode.
I like this guy.
Then, of course, another characteristic outside of the harsh language and I mean, when it came up at the start, it was like, TV MA, and it listed all the things that made it MA,
Yeah, I
and
was
it
like,
was
oh boy.
yeah, it had everything. It was everything, every harsh thing that makes something a hard R is basically
Yeah.
there, or in this case, TVMA. So really extreme. But obviously, one of that is the violence, which is a little bit cartoony in some ways.
The huge blood splatter that was in the trailer. Yeah, it is ridiculous. It's over the top to the point where it's not even close to feeling like realistic violence anymore because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. But that's kind of part of the charm. Admittedly, I didn't remember that from the trailer, and I'm glad I didn't. Because did you see where that? I mean, without spoiling anything yet, did you know where that scene was going?
I kind of clicked towards the end.
Yeah, I never had any idea where that scene was going, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I'd forgotten whatever.
It was in the
had.
trailer. I'm not too annoyed at them because it was in like the first 10 minutes of the episode. So if you're gonna put a big shocking moment like that in a trailer, yes, use the first one, right? Get out of the way.
Oh sure, I still think it worked better for me though, not knowing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much more spoiler free stuff we've got to say, so I think we'll just give the spoiler warning here so I can talk about this because so we're introduced to Huey, works at the electronics store, and we see he's a bit of a he doesn't really stick up for himself. He's trying to ask for a raise, and he's too scared to kind of actually go through with it. But his girlfriend comes over after Robin, and they're cracking some jokes with each other, and very quickly, she was likable, but she also made him likable because he wasn't necessarily unlikable before. But it was them together.
He didn't have anything.
Yeah,
before.
but it was when they were together where I went, I actually really like both of these characters very quickly. This is good writing. This is very smart. It's made me like them really quickly. Now, sure, it's actually impressive that they make me like her enough that when she dies in like 30 seconds, I'm going to care about it. But at the same time, it has this double-edged effect when I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to even trust this show if they make me like a character now. Like, because that was so convincing how much you made me like her, and the minute you had with her that I'm because they're joking about laying pipe and laying cables.
Yeah, it was laying pipe versus cable.
Yes, apparently cable is known as taking a dump, whereas pipe is having sex. But she used cable to mean sex. It sounds silly when I'm explaining it, but it was adorable enough in the scene. It
was charming, yeah.
Yeah, and she just gets splattered by A-Train, which is the Flash knockoff in this world, and
he just runs right through her.
And you literally see like part of her jaw floating in the air, like with the blood, because that ultra slow motion,
and the spine as well.
Yeah, it looks like a scene out of Predator, but ramped up even more. Like that's
it's. Like I said, it's so ultra violent, it's ridiculous that it's not even close to being.
But here's the thing, though. Like, this should almost be funny, but I don't think it is because they actually made me like her. They made me like her before it happened, so I wasn't laughing.
No, you're not.
I was annoyed. I was like, "What? You just dialed my ass here. What are you doing? Can't be having this."
Yeah.
So that sets up sort of the main plot of the episode, which is obviously his girlfriend has been killed. Collateral damage because A-Train's been running from a bank robbery or something like that. Although we do find out later that that's not entirely true, and there's something suspicious going on about why he was running and what he had in his bag and so on and so on. And because he can't get any justice on his own, he wants to try and sue. His dad's like, nah, we don't have this in us. We can't afford the lawyer. Just take the hush money.
Yeah, they're offering $45,000 in exchange for signing to say nothing happened.
Should have been 52.
That would have been a lot funny, I'm not going to lie, if they'd done that. I would have appreciated that.
Should have been 52,000. Anyway, but of course, Karl Urban comes by to see him and says that he's an FBI agent. He's not, but
clearly not.
He says he's an FBI agent and says, no, superheroes get away with all this crap all the time. They're a bunch of absolute, assholes. And he convinces them enough that he kind of tags along, and they end up going to this superhero bar where there's flying people having sex in the sky. There's,
there's the Atom going into someone.
The vagina specifically, yes.
Yeah.
Because you left that very open. That could have been any orifice.
I feel like the implication was pretty clear.
Yeah, but I think we have to actually comment on how the scene actually presents itself, because you see him take like he's like at the end of a table and he runs and does a giant leap
yeah.
and just goes into the skirt. It's a pretty comical visual.
It is, yeah.
And then there's the Mr. Fantastic dude, who apparently is a very anti-gay like spokesman in the world, but he's having sex with like four dudes here at the one time with his stretchy powers.
Yeah, and that ties into, as well as being, just kind of ironically funny in the scene, it ties into a lot of the themes of these heroes don't believe in whatever they say. They do, okay, well, Vought tells them this is what you're doing. You're the face of this, so they go off and do that.
Yeah. So, and I do kind of like though how it escalates throughout the episode, because obviously we've been sticking to this one plot and we've been ignoring the Annie plot up until now, but like the A-Train thing does seem like, I mean, it's obviously the way he runs away after doesn't feel great, but it does seem like, okay, that was kind of an accident, and like we were just talking about collateral damage here when the accidents happen. It's
because
not,
we've seen a lot of superhero movies. There's always collateral damage to some extent.
not to this extent, admittedly, but yeah.
No.
But it's the scene with Annie actually, because she's training and she wants to go and interview because they've lost a member of the Seven, right? So these seven members of the Seven, and they're interviewing all over the country, and she's got superpowers. She was born power abled. Was that the phrase she used?
Super abled.
Super able. I think it was super abled. Yeah. And she can do this like blinding light blast thing, and she's also got super strength. She can pick up the car and she can punch the walls. She's doing all sorts of things. And she gives this heartfelt speech about why she wants to be in the Seven. They call her and give her the job. She's brought out on stage with the Deep, which is their Aquaman, and he takes her back to the headquarters and shows her the big meeting table and all the rest of it. It's this scene here where you get your first real taste of just how despicable they are. Like, you know, because up until this point, we've not really seen them do anything like evil. And then in this scene, she's just kind of admitting, no, I kind of had a crush on you when I was a teenager, and like I had a poster on your wall. And she turns around, and again, it's this kind of balancing act of the dark thing with the comedy here, because she turns around and he's just not got his pants on anymore, and he's stroking away, and he's like, "What? You said you had a crush on me?" Like, but the way it just kind of abruptly cuts to his bare ass in your face, there is kind of like a dark humor to it, as well as it being really dark. But it gets darker though. The rest of the scene's actually the real dark part. Because he, you know, because she gets, you know, upset. She uses her powers, everything cracks, all the TV screens all crack. And you think, oh, well, she's going to be fine because she's got superpowers. She's going to fight him off. There's nothing to worry about here. But then he's like, no, I'll say you attack me. Look at all this damage. Like, I'll say
it's like, forget being part of the Seven. He's like, I'm the second in command here. If I say no, well, tough, you're out.
Yeah, he basically says you're not getting the job unless you do this. And we don't see it happen, but you know, the next time we see her, she's in the bathroom throwing up, and she's got mascara running down her face. It's very clear that it happened.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it gets kind of dark, and this is the kind of thing that I was worried about before I saw the show, and I was a little bit worried during this scene. I mean, it didn't do anything on its own that was making me feel, but I was worried, okay, where is this going to keep going? What's this going to do? But I think it was the scene where she ends up on the bench next to Huey. Just by chance, they end up sitting next to each other, and they kind of have like a friendly conversation, not really knowing who each other are or what they're specifically going through.
Yeah.
And it was her actually describing this, and him kind of giving her advice about, you know, talking about Robin and saying how she used to always fall down when she was ice skating, but was it ice skating? I think it was.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you fall down your ass, but that doesn't mean you have to stay there. And it kind of gives this pep talk, and she's like, you know what, you're right, I'm a fighter. And I was like, you know what, this has actually been handled much better than I think I was going to expect from this show. Like the way it actually deals with the aftermath of this incident.
Yeah, because the immediate aftermath in the bathroom, like there's the Wonder Woman's there, and it's just like, come on, sort yourself out. It's very matter of fact and uncaring.
Well, the exact phrase was, "Don't let them see yourself like this."
Yeah, that was the second bit. She definitely said, "Sort yourself out first."
Yeah, but that was the line that stuck out to me, because it wasn't even given with like compassion. It was given, "Don't let them see yourself like this. It's pathetic," kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's the dark joke at the end where the invisible dude is in there, just sort of, because we saw him on Fallon already, being interviewed about his powers, but it's because the Wonder Woman, Queen Maeve, says, "Oh, you're such a pervert, translucent," and he just appears and he's butt ass naked in the background.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. Something about full frontal male nudity is just really funny to me. I don't know why. It just it's just something funny about it. All right.
If you say so.
It is. I don't know what it is, but there's just something amusing about it. All right. Dicks are funny.
I mean, sure. Why not? I will say I also find it humorous, but just because of him just being called out, and be like, oh damn it, fine, and kind
Yeah.
of just strolling off, going right, okay, I guess that's over.
Yeah, it's a really, so far it's an impressive balancing act for me, where it could very easily turn some of this stuff into feeling really tasteless, but so far it feels like it's balancing just enough heart with the actual reality of what the characters went through. Because I think it'd be very easy if we went through this episode and felt like Annie was just this victim. And I think that would feel really painful, and not in a good way, not in a way where the show is putting us through this dramatic story. I don't think it can do that with all the comedy and let it sit well. I don't think it can. I think her finding some strength afterwards, having this kind of heart to heart with Hughie, and making her stance where she sits down and says, "I'm not going anywhere," at the table. And obviously, like the story with her as well, apart from the fact that she's sexually assaulted, is that this Seven that she's dreamed of being in is not this heroic entity that she thought it was. It's this corporate cash grab. The first thing they talk about at the first meeting with her is
it's copyright infringement.
Like, oh, people are downloading my movie. Oh, the T-shirts have been sold, illegitimately.
Yeah, and you got that Superman, because I think at this point we've had the stuff in the sex club with Hughie, and we've been told, oh no, that Superman, he is actually as good as he seems. He is all noble and virtuous. And in this scene, he's like, "Come on, guys, let's stop, counting pennies. Let's, tell me who you saved this
As
week."
a cynical TV viewer, I'm just waiting for him to show his true colors. And
oh, yes, you are, and he does.
And I think what was more interesting about that, though, in this context of this, is that it's not that he's the one guy who's actually a goody two shoes. It's that he's the one guy that's fooled Billy.
Yeah.
Right. The idea that Billy thinks he is this good thing, even though everyone else is a scumbag.
Even in the safety of their own headquarters room, where they're all kind of terrible. Like, there's the public persona is off, and they're their own terrible selves in there. He still puts on this act of being good.
Yeah, my favourite little touch actually in this scene where they're at the meeting is Queen Maeve is just drinking booze the entire time. She's got like it's got the flask, not a flask, but the jar.
Yeah.
Of whiskey. See, classy people don't just have the bottle of whiskey. They put it in a nice crystal jar that they can pour into a glass from that.
I mean, only if you're going to go through the whole bottle in like a week. Because otherwise, it just ruins the whiskey.
I feel like she's going through that bottle in a week.
She probably is.
Yeah.
She can probably afford to.
Yes. That's
why
it's usually it's rich alcoholics who usually do this for a reason.
Yeah, that's true.
So all those I like all the little superhero touches so far. I'm liking. We also, of course, get introduced to Elizabeth Shue's character, who we knew was going to be in this, and she's like I don't want to say the head of the company, but she's definitely the person going around and making the deals and being the spokesperson.
Yeah, I want to say at the very least she's the public spokesperson.
Yeah,
but she seems to have some behind the scenes power as well.
Yeah, well, she's we see her introducing Starlight earlier on, whatever. But her main thing this episode is that she's with I presume the mayor of
seems a reasonable assumption. A high up city official.
Yeah. What? Because it was going to go to Atlanta if they turned it down. What city were we in here?
I'm not sure because
I can't remember.
They were offered the city because it's I can't remember the name of the hero, but he was in Detroit. So
it wasn't Detroit. Yes, I just can't remember the name of the city that they were in and being offered.
Chicago? I don't know.
It wasn't Chicago. Maybe Burbank. It was something like that.
I can't remember.
But anyway, so they're negotiating. Okay, your city clearly is a hero. Your murder rate's up 60%. Blah 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 blah. We've got this hero for you. You'll get 10% of the merch profits and this and blah 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 blah. And you need to pay us $300 million a year for this hero to cover your city. He tries to haggle her down, particularly with some blackmail material, because he's like, "Oh, I've heard some rumors about this V
Something V, yeah.
And some sort of serum or something like that.
Which I feel is clearly the most important thing from this plot right now.
This is probably going to be a huge thing for later in the season. Yeah,
is this something that gives them a power boost? Is it a way they control their heroes? If let's say that one of their heroes doesn't toe the company line, is this something that makes them more, willing to do what they're told?
Is this what they dump into the water supply to hopefully make new heroes? Like, are they actually all manufactured in a weird way?
Yeah, could be.
I don't know. I'm sure we'll get into this, but later on she calls him and agrees to 230 million and asks him to keep the rumors thing. But this is the thing: as soon as she said the sentence "have a safe flight," I was like, okay, he's dead.
She's doing something. Yeah,
that plane's going down. And of course, we end the
soon as she said that.
Yeah, we end the episode with oh God, what was his name again? Homefront Man.
Homefront. That sounds
Homelander.
Like
Homelander. I didn't think Highlander, but Homelander. But we see him flying outside the plane. It does that nice thing where his eyes light up red first, and you know what he's about to do.
But it's worse because obviously the kid's there, and he's got the signed picture of Homelander. That's obviously his hero, and
he just blasts the plane in half, and it just goes down, and he's just left floating there. It's like, okay, so he's if anything more evil than everyone else. It's just a case of,
how bad are the rest of them at this point now?
Oh sure, but I think he's secretly the most evil. He doesn't show it obviously, but I think this is showing that he's just the most sinister. Because obviously we see A-Train laughing about Robin's death. We see that security footage. That's why they go to the sex bar place in the first place.
So there was a moment around that plot there, where I actually wondered if Billy Butcher was there just to convince him to sign the form. Because he's like, okay, he shows up not long after he turns down signing it. Seems to know everything about him. I was like, is he a plant? Is he there just to, Vought sends him, like, go on, just take him around the other side and pretend you've got a plan and they'll sign it, because tough, they're done then.
Yeah,
I mean, I think by the end it's clear it's not, but it was just something that was crossing my mind during the episode.
It never did, and I think that was just because of the trailers. I just kind of like in the trailers, it felt like every clip with them was about killing or beating up the heroes.
Yeah, see, I only watched the one trailer,
so I never even considered that for a second. But yeah, he wants him to plant a bug in the heroes' headquarters. So he wants him to get an apology from A-Train in person, which he agrees to and tries to set up. And he's a nervous wreck. He's when A-Train walks in, he sees him covered in blood. He's not really covered in blood, but he sees him covered in blood because that's what he looked like the day that he ran through.
Yeah, he has
Robin.
that reaction a couple of times throughout the episode, like when he's in the store and just sees all the merchandise and branding with him on it.
Yes. In fact, notably, I'm drinking a Red Bull right now, and there was a standee.
He was holding a Red Bull, which makes sense. That's what you get the speeds to promote, right? Vought knows its marking.
Yes, but maybe a bit oversaturation though. He was on like 5 products.
Yeah, because he was on the beer, he was on the cereals, and then the Red Bull.
Yeah, and then he was in the magazine cover as well that the cashier was reading.
I guess their Justice League have priority.
Yes, apparently. I mean, presumably this is his city. If they're all covering a city each,
probably, yeah.
I would have thought so. But. Yeah, so yeah, he drops his. He actually almost runs into Annie again because she's in the bathroom for a second while he's in the cubicle trying to get his wiretap out. He drops it though on the floor, and obviously they've neatly set up at this point that sometimes Translucent is hanging out in the bathroom to be pervy, and he sees all this. So he comes by at the end, and we get this glorious fight. Because basically Billy's dropped off Huey and said, I don't need you anymore, you've done your job, you can, maybe I'll need you for something else soon, but this is kind of goodbye for now. But once he's on his own, once the boss has left the electronics store and Huey's left to lock up, we see the door open and he's attacked by Translucent, and then of course the car comes in, Billy rams him in the car.
Smacks him across the store, and he's still invisible, but you can just see him, crashing.
Well, this is what I was getting to. This is for me maybe the best visual moment of the whole episode. Is you can see all of the all the shelving in the store as he goes flying through it all. You see it all breaking in half as something's flying, as if something's flying through it, but you can't see him. So it's a really interesting visual, and it's all this sort of bird's eye view just going back. So it's a really cool visual, and then of course the visual even gets better because after that, you can't see him, because Billy gets out with his crowbar and he's ready to go to town.
London Calling starts playing.
Yeah. And eventually we can see him because he splits. Once he's been beaten up a bit, Billy, he spits his blood on his face so that he can see him. So we have this invisible guy,
and then on the hands as well, so he can see them coming.
Yeah, but we have this invisible guy who just has, and it's not a lot of blood either. This is what I like about it. It's not drenched in blood. This is not like all of a sudden he's head to toe in blood. It's just a little bit in the face, a little bit in the arms and hands, and that's it. But it's just enough to see it. And then Huey sort of jumps in and he's going to electrocute him with the power cable, but it doesn't quite reach. So then Billy kicks him back into it, and then he dies. He's electrocuted and dies. So that's kind of where we end the plot with them, is that they're trying to dispose of the body.
I imagine it's fairly easy to dispose of an invisible body.
We'll see. I don't know. Will he stay invisible? Once his heart rate's completely gone, does it?
Maybe not. That's what it goes to say. He was still invisible when he was dead at the end.
Yeah, but I'm wanting to maybe it'll wear off.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
But we have this moment. So where Billy's like, "You need to help me dispose of the body. I mean, you just killed one of the 7. This is kind of a big deal. We have to deal with this." It's like, "No, you help me with the car." It's like, "Well, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The point is, we're both in deep shit. Let's deal with this together." So as much as that we had the kind of you're out of this now, Huey kind of moment, clearly he's not. I feel like Billy was literally just waiting.
He was bait the whole time.
Yeah, he was bait. That's ultimately what it was. So I mean, hell, maybe. Does Billy have a specific vendetta against Translucent? So that's who he was trying to bait, or is it just anyone that?
I think it was just I think he just knew that he's going to get found out when he plants this bug because he's just not that good at this stuff. And whoever it is, I'm going to hit him.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the things that when he first told him his plan about the bug. He's like, "Wait, you want me to sneak into the headquarters and plant a bug like I'm James Bond?" Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also later on, actually, when he's explaining how to use the bug, and he describes it really quickly, like 5 or 6 different steps really quickly. It says, "And that's it, Bob's your uncle." Like it split.
Yeah, he goes through like 3 or 4 of those sayings.
Yeah. He's like, "What do you mean that's it? That was a lot. Say it again."
Say it again, but slower. And it's like, off you go, kid. You'll be fine.
Oh dear. So no, I think I mean, if I was to sum up my feelings in this first episode, is that by the end of the episode, I really liked Huey. I really liked Starlight. Carl Urban's character is really funny. He's not emotionally attached yet. I feel like the 2 leads I actually feel sympathetic for. I'm actually kind of rooting for them already. Carl Urban's kind of this wild card who's kind of entertaining.
He's the one that you want to see him take him on because he's fun.
Yeah, but he's not I don't care about him as a character yet, and that might come in time. But right now he's the wild card. And that's fine. But the visuals, when it does get wacky with the powers of the violence, so far there's 2 or 3 big examples in this episode, and I think they all look really cool, and they all feel like big moments. This feels like maybe the most expensive Amazon show I've seen so far.
For now, yeah.
I mean, I guess the next most expensive thing would probably be Jack Ryan, just because.
That looked good for what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't effects heavy in the same way that something like this would be, but it did look kind of slick. It looked like they put money into that. A lot of locations.
Professional, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope this bodes well for The Expanse.
Well, there's a trailer for season 4. You can go have a look at it.
I don't want to watch it.
Go check it out if you want.
I don't want to see it. It's too long to wait to watch a trailer already.
Mm-hmm. But hey, it's already been renewed for season 2. So I mean, if the quality keeps up, if the promise of this first episode holds for these 8 episodes, we already have a season 2 confirmed. Which
I'm glad that they did that because it shows a lot of confidence to do that before it airs, especially on something like Amazon where it's all about driving this people to subscribe, right? So it does help. It's like people are there'll actually be a season 2, so they're probably more inclined to watch it. But it's still a commitment on their part that it's always usually a sign of quality.
Yeah. So I'm actually surprisingly impressed with episode 1. I was not expecting to be is positive. I thought that it might be a middling thing, and maybe it'll get better or something, or it was just going to be poor taste and turn me off immediately. But so far, it seems to be balancing the satire and the harsh themes with its humor fairly well.
So what we're saying is it's more Kick-Ass 1 than Kick-Ass 2.
The one comparison I would make with the first Kick-Ass, though, is the idea of the heart being in there amongst all the chaos, which is my favorite thing about Kick-Ass. Like, I think if you take the heart out of Kick-Ass, it's a B movie that's almost worthless.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad movie, because the rest of it would still be good enough. But it wouldn't be like a properly good movie.
All right, that has been our discussion of the first episode of The Boys. So by all means, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can do that over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses, extras, and some early stuff. Check out other content that's coming your way. We have Mindhunter Season 2 starting soon. We have Glow Season 3 starting soon. We have Dear White People Season 3 starting soon, amongst other things. So go and have a look at those when they start hitting. If you listen to the audio podcast version of this, do rate the podcast on your podcast app. And this is on the feed with a lot of the TV show reviews. Of course, all the Netflix shows are on their own feed, the Netflix reviews audio feed. Just search MailFuzz TV, you'll find all our feeds. I'll go to Patreon, because there's a nice big list of them all at the top of the page. But otherwise, that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?